Do you want to try a brand new class that connects to star signs and has new feats and spells? Do you want a 300-page book of player options to create characters that live under the sea? Do you want 10 fully fleshed out taverns, including maps, for your table? Well, if you answered yes to any of those questions, we've got all that and much more in the latest episode of D&D New Releases. So let's get started. Hi, it's Splinterverse. Welcome to another episode of D&D New Releases, where we offer first impressions of new third-party products for Dungeons & Dragons. We cover a selection of titles from Dungeon Masters Guild and DriveThruRPG each week. The titles are presented in alphabetical order, and all of them are linked in the video description. Purchasing the books using those links helps the channel, but you can also support us by purchasing one of our best-selling books. Our newest release, Dragonlance Companion, offers 180 pages for players and DMs to bring the magical world of Krynn to life. And like many of our books, it's available in hardcover and digital format. Our Swarms of the Multiverse offers over 70 brand new creatures, including their associated swarms, instructions on how to make your own balanced swarms, and lots of bonus materials such as 4 new demiplanes. Our Feywild Companion offers 150 pages of Feywild fun for players and DMs alike. Also, our book, Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, contains over 50 pages of dragon-themed player options, including a subclass for each class and much more. We've got lineages suitable for any setting, as well as optional lineage rules in our Van Richten's Librum of Lineages. With our Potions Unlocked book, we have over 100 pages of material to take potions to the next level in your game. Please support the channel by purchasing our books using the links in the video description. First up, we have Captain Salt's Guide to Taverns, which includes 10 tavern descriptions and maps for your games. It's from BD&D. It's $10 for the PDF for 24 pages. And it says, is your local tavern worth its salt? From dockside dives to high-class restaurants, Captain Salt has you covered. Descriptions and maps of taverns, a brief on the proprietor, details of their main menu, and a signature drink, all to help add that atmosphere you want to your games. So, we always need taverns, right? Adventures start in taverns sometimes, or you need to go there to get some sustenance, or maybe you need a place to meet with an NPC. So we need taverns, and they can be anywhere. You can have a roadside tavern, you can have a tavern in a very small hamlet, all the way up to a metropolis. So having books like this where the taverns are just ready to be dragged and dropped into your campaign are really, really essential, I think, for Dungeon Masters. Of course, you can invent your own, but it's nice to be able to even look at pre-planned taverns for ideas, right? Or maybe you just take a character, or you take a menu from a pre-planned tavern and you work it into your home brew. So BD&D has released a lot of great stuff over this past week, and we haven't had the opportunity to look at all of it. We only cover one title per publisher, so we picked this one because it looked particularly interesting. But be sure to click on BD&D, the link up here where it says from under the title, and check out the other releases from B, because there was a lot of them and it was tough to pick which one. But this one definitely seems like a universal, useful book to have. So let's look inside. Love the fun artwork in here. Right off the bat, you've got this cat playing with some magical butterflies coming out of this book here, and a nice little welcome from BD&D, which I think is nice. And then you get to see the table of contents. So it lists all the taverns, including Captain Salt's Meat House, all the way down to the Tipsy Teapot, which I think sounds like a really fun place to go. So right off the bat, we've got Captain Salt's Meat House, and then the proprietor, Captain Salt, with a menu, and I love how it looks like an actual menu. And then you've got a ransom note martini with a recipe, and then the maps for those, and then you can click to get the full-size maps. But I mean, how nice is that? Everything from the menu to a drink to the maps to the proprietor. I mean, this is giving you everything you need. Then you've got cheers and chatter. It says this is, I guess, another, yes, it's another one of them. I like that name as well, Cheers and Chatter. So let's go back up and read a little bit about Captain Salt's Mead House. So, welcome to Captain Salt's Mead House. The tavern's weathered wooden facade proudly showcases an eclectic collection of maritime artifacts and nautical memorabilia. A worn ship's wheel above the entrance tells the stories of countless voyages across treacherous seas, while a pair of crossed cutlasses glint in the sunlight, serving as a reminder of Captain Salt's daring past. Flanking the entrance, 2 lanterns cast a soft glow over the well-used doors. The scent of salt water intermingles with the aroma of freshly brewed mead, creating an intoxicating and unforgettable fragrance that beckons you through the open door. Peering through weathered shutters, you catch glimpses of the lively scene within. Patrons engaged in animated conversations, laughter, and boisterous tales fill the air, accompanied by a group singing sea shanties as loudly as they can. Above the entrance, a wooden sign swings gently in the breeze, its worn wood bearing the name Captain Salt's Mead House. Despite its slightly shabby exterior, the tavern exudes a warm and inviting aura. Step inside to indulge in hearty tales of the sea and savor the legendary mead that has made Captain Salt's Mead House renowned. So pull up a chair and let the tales of the high seas carry you away as you embark on your own unforgettable journey at Captain Salt's Mead House. So you see, that's a flavorful introduction that you can read to the players. You can paraphrase it, you can take pieces out of there and apply it to a homebrew, or you can just read it completely as is, or even just excerpts. But here you've got a picture that does very well match what was written there, and that's nice, so that they've had custom art for all these descriptions. You can see the sort of captain's boat wheel there above the entrance, and the really cool glowing lanterns, and then you get all the information on Captain Salt, and then the menu and the maps and all that stuff. So really, really cool. And I'm just going to scroll here so you can see some of the others. This is Cheers and Chatter, and they've got a menu as well as the spicy halfling drink. And these look like real recipes, like you could actually make these. And this particular one has got 3 maps, which is nice. And you're going to get those full-size ones as well. So let's just read about the proprietor of Cheers and Chatter. So it says, Maxwell Finch, known affectionately as Max, is a robust and genial tavern keeper. Max is a middle-aged man with salt and pepper hair, neatly trimmed beard, and a jovial smile that seems to be permanently etched on his face. His piercing blue eyes twinkle with a mischievous glint, and he is well known for the good-natured jests he often engages in with his customers. Max can usually be seen sporting a well-tailored waistcoat with a crisp, white linen shirt underneath, and he often wears a brightly colored coat that makes him easy to spot across the bar. So that's just enough to get you started, because then you can have Max sound like whatever you want as the dungeon master. You can have other quirks layered on top of Max. They're giving you just enough to have a starting point and something that you can read, because basically what we read is something that you would notice from across the room, right? So then everything else that is discovered by the characters is going to be something that you can improvise or create, right? So I like that this title's giving you just enough to get started, and then you can let your imagination take over from there. But as I said, you're getting, copper piece, silver piece, menu items. You've got all these maps. You could even just use the maps without the descriptions. You can use the images. You can show this image to your players and say, this is Cheers and Chatters. Whatever you want to do. That's the beauty of books like this, is you can pick and choose every single piece, or just the pieces that make the most sense for you, and you can leave the rest for another time. And you can even turn one of these into 2 different taverns by just taking maybe the first floor from one and the second floor for another one. I mean, so many options, but you won't be able to do that if you don't get the book. So look for it in the video description. Links is under Captain Salt's Guide to Taverns, and give it a click. Next, we have Garymere's collection of curious crafts from Baz Klein, and it's a suggested price of $3.26 for 7 pages, and it's got 12 items, magic items, suitable for 5th edition. It says Garymere Wickfin Of course, you've already heard of him. A genius storyteller, master of card games, humble to the core, and expert on interesting items. Gracious as he has decided to share his knowledge of curios and oddities so that you don't get scammed. So that's a good angle for this tome. But they've got everything from burst pouch all the way down to Sparkstone. And I like the name of this one, Dust of Rust. You've got Ring of Sight, Runestone, Sentient Belt Buckle. As I said, 12 different items in here for you. And there's some little flavor text from Garymere himself. So you can, relate that to your players as they encounter these things or not. Again, optional. Ring of the Banshee there. That looks really cool. Looks like an open screaming mouth on there. I like that. Burst pouch. Let's read about Dust of Rust, because that name caught my eye. So it's a Wondrous item, rare, 2 pounds, and it's roughly 150 to 200 GP. It says, as an action, you can throw a handful of dust at a target up to 5 feet away. The dust corrodes any non-magical ferrous metal object it touches. If the object isn't being worn or carried, the dust destroys 1 cubic foot of it. If the object is worn or carried by a creature, the creature must make a dex saving throw to avoid the dust. If the object is either metal armor or a metal shield being worn or carried, it takes a permanent and cumulative -1 penalty to the AC it offers. Armor reduced to an AC of 10 or a shield that drops to a +0 bonus is destroyed. If the object is a metal weapon, it takes a permanent and cumulative -1 penalty to damage rolls. If the penalty drops to -5, the weapon is destroyed. If the dust does not make contact with metal, it will harmlessly disintegrate. The pouch contains enough dust to destroy 5 cubic feet of metal. So that could be interesting. You could lessen some of the metal that you're encountering, lowering that AC or other things, and they have a nice little sketch of the Dust of Rust as well in here. So let's pick one more to read for you. So many. I really do like the artwork for the Ring of the Banshee, which happens to be cursed. So let's read that. It's a rare ring, and it says it requires attunement. When worn, the ring tightens around your finger. It then lets out a piercing wail until removed, forcing you to attune to it. Any creature within 30 feet that can hear the ring's wail is affected. Whenever an affected creature attempts to perform an action, it must first succeed on a con saving throw. Attempting to remove the ring requires you or a helper to succeed on a strength check. Any successful attempt to remove the ring makes its grip tighten, increasing the strength check by DC by 1 to a maximum of 20. So yeah, that's good. It says earplugs are recommended, and it does give a flavor text. It says a nondescript silver ring that grows a ghastly mouth when worn. So that picture we saw up here, this sort of screaming mouth, is not there when you first put it on, and then as you discover that it's cursed, this ghastly mouth appears, which I think is really cool. I love the artwork for that. Good art in here for a pay what you want title. Really, really cool. I think this is something to check out, especially with that pay what you want price. So look for it in the video description links. It's under Garymere's collection of curious crafts, and give it a click. Next we have Glyph Evocation from Eric Rise. It's $7.95 for 22 pages. We've talked about this series before. I really, really enjoy it. I've purchased most of this series myself, and it's just, I think, really fun and has a lot of uses. It really, at its core, what it's meant to do is give you opportunities to improve things, make them a little different. So you can take a spell, layer a glyph on it, you get a little bit of a drawback, but you get a little bit of a bonus effect or something on your spell. There's also martial options in this series, but they've gone through a little over half of the schools of magic, I believe, so they're up to Evocation now with this one, and it's just really fun because you can layer these things on. You can have your players discover these glyphs that they can include within their spells, or you can use some of the effects on their own. I find it to be a really great grab bag for DMs to just pick and choose little things. Maybe you need a special effect, or maybe you want some magic user that's an enemy to have something special. It's not just the ordinary fireball. It's not just the ordinary whatever spell. It's got this little extra thing to it that will amaze your players because they're expecting it to behave a certain way, right? But you layer on this glyph and it's a little different. And because glyphs are not something that when you take Fireball, you automatically get the Fireball glyph. I mean, it could be that way if you decide, but typically, you would want to put something special around these glyphs. Like maybe you have to go study with a sage to learn how to inscribe this glyph or something, right? And then you can apply it to what you're doing, and you have this spell that you've used a bunch of times before. You've seen other players use, you've seen NPCs use, now has a different feel after all these years, right? So this series, I think, is really, really valuable. I don't think it's getting as much attention as it should, so I hope you will check it out. You can see it's got really nice layout, easy to read, and here's some of the other ones: Abjuration, Conjuration, Divination, Enchantment, and then Skirmisher and Trickster are those ones that are affecting martial effects. So just a lot of fun ways to mix it up. So let's look inside at some of the well-known spells. So Eldritch Blast, that's one that a lot of people are familiar with, right? And it has two particular glyphs, and you can choose as a DM to allow both, one, not the other, however you want to do it. Or like I said, twist these and put them on as a monster effect or a special NPC effect, right? So this is Eldritch Blast, Glyph of Eldritch Power. Eldritch Blast now also affects creatures between you and the target, but the range is reduced to 30 feet and the damage dice are reduced to a D8. Each creature in a 5-foot wide line between you and the target must succeed on a Dex saving throw or take force damage. Any feature that modifies Eldritch Blast also applies to targets that fail their saving throw. So see how it's reducing the damage a little bit and the range, but it's hitting more targets. So it's that give and take, because the author is trying to make sure it doesn't dramatically tip the balance, into OP or underpowered territory, right? So smart way of doing it to sort of say you can have this extra thing, more targets, but you get less range, you get less damage overall, all of that, right? And then you have Glyph of Dark Whispers, another one for Eldritch Blast. The first time you hit a hostile creature with Eldritch Blast on your turn, you can choose to invoke the target's deepest fear instead of causing it harm. The Eldritch Blast deals no damage and doesn't benefit from your invocations, and instead causes the target to become frightened of you until the end of its next turn. Once a creature has been frightened this way, it is immune to this effect for the next hour. So yeah, add some versatility to your Eldritch Blast. But you could add this to another spell, or you could combine these two effects to make an NPC ability. You see how versatile this book and series are, so you really owe it to yourself to check it out. And Eric has given people healthy previews of each one, so you can really look through and see, hey, will this work for me? Is this something I would use? I'm just scrolling through so you can see quite a bit of the book. You're getting to see like at least half of it. So you've got Thunderous Smite. I mean, just every spell you can think of is going to be in here. Cure Wounds. So let's look at how Cure Wounds changes. So there's two glyphs, Glyph of the Battle Medic and Glyph of Preventative Care, or Preventive Care, I should say. Glyph of the Battle Medic says, whenever you cast Cure Wounds on a target other than yourself, you can expend an additional spell slot of first level or higher to boost their survivability. Until the end of their next turn, the target's speed is increased by 10 feet and they gain resistance to the first instance of damage they take. So yeah, you can sort of buff your Cure Wounds. And again, this makes Cure Wounds a little bit different than you're used to, right? And then Glyph of Preventive Care, whenever Cure Wounds restores hit points to a target beyond their maximum, the target gains temporary hit points equal to the excess, but you no longer add your spellcasting ability modifier to the healing received. So a give and take here. You're not getting to add your spellcasting ability modifier, but now if you exceed that maximum, you're getting those temporary hit points, right? So it's a trade-off, which is interesting. It's different. It's mixing these things up. These spells have been around, some of them, since first edition. And yes, of course, the mechanics have changed over the years, but only slightly, right? So you still, a fireball is a fireball is a fireball, right? So being able to mix up Cure Wounds or Eldritch Blast or whatever spell by getting this series is going to be really fun for you and surprising for your players. And maybe you introduce it by having an NPC use a glyph, and then maybe they find information on the glyph when they loot the corpse, right? If they defeat this enemy, and then that's how they're introduced. I mean, this is just one idea. There's so many, and this series is got you covered with over half the schools of magic now. So you need to look for it. It's in the video description links. It's under Glyph Evocation. Give it a click. Next, we have Neverspring Frost, a Tier 4 D&D campaign. It's from William Roeder. It's a suggested price of $12.92 for 240 pages. That is a lot of pages. 240 pages on a suggested price. So that's really cool. People are going to have the option to check it out for free, read through the 240 and come back and pay if they're going to use it, or people that can't afford it can also have fun and enjoy it. So that's very kind of William to offer that. So kudos to you, William. It says, as a new ice age spreads across the Forgotten Realms, cities fall to the unstoppable glacier of the Frostfallen, all but Stormhaven holding on against the forces of the Frost King. So really interesting sort of hook there. And it says, ever wanted to rewrite the last season of Game of Thrones? Ever wanted a Tier 4 adventure that wasn't just a dungeon crawl? Ever wanted a political campaign that gets you to seriously consider the responsibilities that come with power? Ever wanted to fight a horde of 100 zombies without having to endure 100 attack rolls? And ever wanted to punch a dragon in the face? So it sounds like all those questions are going to be satisfied with this 240 pages on Pay What You Want. Because Neverspring Frost is a 17th to 20th level campaign for seasoned players featuring the existential threat of an eternal winter blighting the world of Toril. The city of Stormhaven has managed to survive the glacier, a wall of magical winter that has enveloped the land. From Stormhaven, a party of adventurers arises as legendary heroes who will strike back against the legions of Frostfallen and reclaim the world. So it's a big deal, definitely. And it gives you tools and guidelines for Tier 4 play, which some people are nervous about. So that's helpful that they're giving you that. You get some winter-themed subclasses, equipment, magic items, spells, detailed summaries of major characters, factions, and location, rules for war and expeditions, 4 chapters on survival, politics, war, and the final battle against the Frost King. And you get a calendar, factions, 40 maps, and 240 pages, don't forget. So it jumps to page 70 for the preview, so that's why we're going to be kind of in the middle, but still, you can see, look at this really fun map of Stormhaven here. They've also got this really interesting hyperlinks in the footer, so you can jump around the book from any page. You don't have to go to the sidebar, but there's a calendar, demographics, factions. We'll look at some of those factions in a minute. Influence. Some really fun artwork to go with some of the NPCs with their goals. This is thorough. This is a lot of stuff, a lot of material to help you run this 17 to 20 level campaign. So this is factions. There are many factions within Stormhaven, but the 4 with the most significance influence are as follows. The Academy. Although there are many academies in the Suncliff district of Stormhaven, when someone refers to the Academy, they are most invariably referring to the 𝙁𝙗𝙪 Academy of Mystic and Magical Arts, which boasts an enormous tight-knit community of powerful magic users devoted to the study of arcane secrets. Their tenured mages often only do research as a pastime instead pursuing a true profession of politics. So that's cool. I like how they're, some people will say, the academy or the library or the whatever, right? And it's nice to know that that kind of shorthand exists in D&D as well. So you've got this 𝙁𝙗𝙪 Academy of Mystic and Magical Arts that's being shortened to the Academy, so I like that touch. Then you've got the half dozen, the aristocratic ruling class of Stormhaven is made up of 6 noble houses. Together they have consolidated their resources into an oligarchy that maintains its power over Stormhaven even through the eternal winter. Their primary strength is religion, having full financial control over every church. They fight amongst each other often, but they are capable of setting aside their differences to team up against their true enemy, the lower class. So yeah, you get these 6 noble houses together. So that's a good chunk of separate factions even within the half dozen, and then you've got that they're going against the lower class. So hopefully the adventurers can stop that. Then you've got the Sentinels of Equity, unusually secular. This organization, taxed as a charitable nonprofit aimed at eliminating social inequality, believes that the city must return to the state it was before it was civilized. This true purpose is an open secret, and its members identify themselves with plain white robes that reveal their faces to the world. The Sentinels have always opposed Stormhaven's commercialism, and with the glacier having frozen harborside, they are now becoming more brazen. And then finally, you have the Winter Children, largely consisting of community volunteers. The Winter Children began as a group focused on the survival of Stormhaven's culture after the glacier hit. However, the organization has shifted purpose after one of their members, calling herself Alicia Frostheart, rose to prominence as a proclaimed messenger of the Ice Age itself. She believes that Stormhaven can negotiate with the Frostfallen and potentially join their expanse. So various factions here that I'm sure are going to be woven into this massive tome, 240 pages. And it says, create your own faction as well. And then it gets into the academy with all these agents and goals and different things going on. And then you've got the half dozen. So each of these get expanded with goals, people, influence, interfactional relationships, disposable agents, and just so many things. So many things. And I really, really love that. This I can tell. They've got a whole city layout here, and it looks like things are hyperlinked, so you can jump around to the different parts of Stormhaven. This is really probably taken quite a bit of time for William Roeder to put this together, and the fact that it's being offered at pay what you want, it just astounds me, because this is just a significant amount of work, but it seems to be created with passion and have a lot of information in it for you. So I encourage you to take a look. It's in the video description links under Neverspring Frost. Give it a click. Next we have the Rot Beneath Winterbrook. It's a system agnostic adventure module. So that means you can use it for OSR or 5th edition or pretty much any fantasy system. It's 32 pages, $9.99 from Kirlot. And it says, something doesn't smell right. Civilizations rise and fall, and the bones of heroes turn to dust. In a time before written words, when power was the only currency, something wretched was killed on the banks of the river. It sank into the mud and festered. Even the most cautious of travelers seek to rest their weary heads from time to time. Their sore, tired feet enter the cold, quiet riverside village, expecting to find rustic hospitality, but are left wanting. There is rot under Winterbrook. So, really interesting. You have this something wretched killed on the banks of the river, and it sank into this mud and it festered, and so now it's rotting beneath this town, and it's causing problems that people don't realize, probably. And maybe some of them they do. It says it can be used for any system that includes fantasy themes. It puts the characters into a small village that is taking desperate measures in an attempt to deal with an evil force they do not understand or comprehend. So there you go. They don't know that there's something beneath them. The characters will take the role of investigators, and then if they choose, they will become the town's liberators of evil. However, foul deeds have been committed here. They might decide to take a different route completely. And it says, those who die are not dead. So you get plot hooks, key NPCs and locations, household generators for on-the-fly play, detailed adventure locations beneath Winterbrook, and a handy reference section at the back of the book to reduce the flipping back and forth. I appreciate that too. Always like those extra pages to help organize the DM. So fun artwork in here, lots of black and white line art. Talks about how to use the adventure, then hooks, background, Winterbrook, and then the household generator, events, and locations. And look at this fantastic, almost like comic book style artwork here at the beginning, introduction, and then there's so many little parts, and then this map is just beautifully illustrated. It's isometric map of the Winterbrook town, and then you've got guests, the Temple of the All-Seeing, entering the tunnels, and then some tunnel encounters. So let's read about the Temple of the All-Seeing. It says, attached to the tower is a thin spire. This is the clergy's hall, a tiny multi-leveled building that houses the clergy's ancient texts. Each floor is more cramped than the next, with the bottom floor being lined with books and having 3 chairs in the center of the room for intimate communion. Benedict Oldman and Rosaline Gambori are the two clergy who run this place. The strange and ghastly practices being used in the town are the direct result of their work. So these are the ones that are sort of behind this stuff, it sounds like. And I like the names of those characters. It says, entering the tunnels, the party will most likely enter the tunnels via a house or building in the village. They will have to break open the floorboards to reach the tunnels beneath. There will be a lich worm awaiting them, and then they can enter the tunnels proper. They may gain access from the tunnels that Roulette has excavated on the other side of the river. They have been abandoned by the worms and start off dry and warm. Once the party gets close, they begin to moisten and smell. So then the flavor text says, the stench of rotten flesh wafts up from the dark, damp earth. Something is dead here. Something old. So you get that sort of dark sense, right? And we're getting close to Halloween. So maybe this would be a fun Halloween adventure with the darkness we're seeing here. And that gives you more details on the tunnels, and then you get some tunnel encounters. First is two lich worms hanging from the ceiling. They're radiating a psionic pulse that makes anyone standing nearby feel dizzy. However, they do not notice anyone approaching. Then number 6 on this table is you hear a faint scream of wretched horror echo through the passage, and it gets louder as the party nears Nylamanus' tomb. So fun names in here. Just stunning artwork. I really, really like, it looks like Kirill Tohengov is the artist, and so good. So good. I could look at this art all day, but it looks really, really fun. I love that it's system agnostic, so you can use it for your OSR or wherever you want to. But first, you got to find it and buy it. It's in the video description links under the Rot Beneath Winterbrook. Give it a click. Next, we have the Small Book of Giants, a bestiary of nearly 50 giants, ranging from CR 5 to 27. I love that. Right off the bat, we know what our CR range is. That is so important for bestiaries, and I can't tell you how many episodes we've done on the show where we show bestiaries that do not do that. And sometimes you can figure it out by looking through, but I really feel like the DMs need to know that, so they know, hey, what if I need a CR1, is this even going to help me? No, but that's okay, because you will need CR 5 to 27 at some point, right? And so knowing what you're in for is so, so good. So bravo to Daniel K., the publisher of this book, for including that information, even on the cover. I love it. I love it. $7.49 for 97 pages. So you're going to get a big, big book here, even though it's the small book of giants. So it's got nearly 50 stat blocks for giant creatures to use as allies or antagonists in your world. From the elusive Bigfoot to the leaders of each kind of true giant to titans, get a wide-ranging set of giants. And then you get 46 creature entries for giants with 49 stat blocks between them, including the planar abyssal giants, the space-watching celestial giants, and the 100-handed 𝘏𝙤𝙬𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙀. I'm terrible at pronouncing that. Each giant comes with optional legendary actions, and then there's tactics for different giants, which you can use to save yourself the hassle of figuring out how to use each one in the fight. That's always really cool when tactics are included. We did that in one of our bestiaries, and I just love it because, sometimes you just don't have time. You don't have time to figure out, well, what would they do first and second? And then you pick the wrong one, and then the combat just ends too quickly, and you're disappointed. So why not have somebody give you a playlist of what happens? And notice there's also a bundle down here of some other bestiaries as well. So if you're in the market for bestiaries, you can get them all for $27.45. But let's look inside. And remember, there's the Big Beast book coming out from Wizards of the Coast that focuses on giants. So this works beautifully with that. But you've got the Abyssal Giant, Bigfoot, Celestial Giants, all the way down to Storm Titans. So this could be really fun. Some Onis, some Frost Giant stuff. I mean, fun stuff. It talks about the ordning as a social structure, very similar to a class-based society that tells every giant their rank in a hierarchy. No giant is equal to another, and it is considered mag to show disrespect to a giant with a higher social standing. So yeah, you can play that out. Just some lore information, height charts, lifespans. These are going to be really helpful to know that, Cyclopses live for 150 years versus Oni, which is also 150 years, or Sand Giants 250 years, but Stone Giants 800. So good on stone giants, which would make sense. If they're connected to stone. Stone lasts forever, right? Abyssal giant, demonic differences, it says, and then tactics for the abyssal giant. I'm just going to scroll through. Bigfoot. Let's see. We got celestial giant, eclipseer. I think celestial is so cool. A celestial giant solar redirector, environment mountain. Solar redirectors are celestial giants who are able to bend the rays of the sun. They believe that light is the most sacred thing and is necessary for all other things to grow. Solar redirectors spend most of their time in sunlight. Their golden skin often shines with sweat and is more tanned than other celestial giants. And then their exposure to the sun and their sun-based magic has granted solar redirectors immunity to heat and light. A solar redirector's emotions are volatile. It doesn't take much for anger to flare to the surface. In these fits of anger, a solar redirector can be a devastating force. However, these phases don't often last long. When a solar redirector is feeling calm and benevolent, it is usually a helpful individual. And there's a bunch of other stuff. I'm not going to read every little bit. Then they've got some optional legendary actions like Cure Blindness, Casting of Daylight. They can make a mace attack or a heated mace attack. And then here's the tactics I was talking about. So this is Solar Redirector's main tactic is to remain in sunlight. If it's found at night, underground or otherwise without sunlight, and can't create it, it will opt to flee. That said, a redirector is still powerful without sunlight. Even if there isn't natural sunlight available, the redirector has access to the daylight spell and can create its own. In combat, the redirector's first action will be to create sunlight if there isn't any already. And it says often found with, they often aren't found with others of their kind, but sometimes are accompanied by eclipseers if an eclipse is nearby or imminent. Otherwise, the solar redirector might be found with creatures from the plane of fire that are drawn to heat and light, like fire snakes, magmans, and salamanders. Sometimes, though rarely, fire giants may serve solar redirectors, mostly when the redirectors seek power over an area of land. Redirectors will find fire giants' innate crafting skills useful for building structures, armors, and weaponry. So that's great. It gives you some ideas to build like an area where there might be inhabitants that are giants of different kinds, and then other accompanying things like fire snakes and magmans and stuff. But then also just how they start off always thinking about the light. And maybe if you're trying to take one down, you can learn how not having light is their weakness. So maybe you're prepared to stop them from casting daylight or whatever, right? So there's so many things you can do because Daniel has chosen to give you this tactics section so you can really understand how you would play out as DM that monster's actions. But also remember, I just cited an example where there may be people in the world that know what this monster is going to do. And so you can weave that into the story, and maybe the story is to find a way to take down this monster that is bigger and tougher than you, and so you need to understand its weakness. And so these tactics, maybe there's the character that is familiar and has tried to take them down, maybe lost an arm or an eye or something trying to do it, and they're advising your players. And so it's worth listening to them. They've gone up against it, right? Unless they're lying, of course. So there's so many ways you can play this. You can even give false tactics, right? So Solar Redirector has a solar aura. All now magical light within 30 feet of the redirector is increased in intensity by one stage. So darkness becomes dim light becomes bright, etc. If the area was already brightly lit, any creature in the aura must succeed on a Constitution saving throw. If the saving throw fails by 5 or more, the creature is permanently blinded, and only a lesser restoration spell or similar magic can restore the creature's sight. And then you got actions, all these sorts of actions, including a sun ray. The redirector channels sunlight into a concentrated, harmful beam that is 60 feet long and 5 feet wide. Each creature in the area must make a dex saving throw or take radiant damage. Yeah, I mean, all tracks that fits with the celestial theme, but that's just one, right? We've got Oni, we've got Cyclops, we've got Bigfoot. I mean, Storm Titans. What more could you want if you're going to have a whole giant themed thing going on? And with Big B's, maybe you just got a lot of stuff, but just not enough. Maybe you need just a little bit more. And as I said, all the way to CR 27. So this is going to serve you for many tiers of play. So I think you should look for it. It may be small in the title, but it should be easy to find in our links in the video description. It says The Small Book of Giants. Give it a click. Next, we have Steps to a Hero from Periapt Games, and it is $18 for the PDF, $35.95 for a premium color softcover, or you can get the black and white for $19.95. Or you can get combos for $40.95 or $24.95 depending on which one. This was a Kickstarter, which I backed, and so I have my copy already. And it's 127 pages. And it says, do you want characters who have deep ties to their world, backstory that directly affects mechanical traits, a fun, fast, unique character creation minigame? In this 120 plus page book, you will find an entirely new life path system for developing 5th edition fantasy characters. Steps to a Hero is a fresh approach to character development. With step-by-step resources in this book, you'll discover the remarkable story of each character's early life and determine how those experiences gave them the unique abilities and traits in their background. Get everyone on the same page when it comes to character generation. And this is for 5th edition, right? So what is a life path? A life path is a unique tool for producing a character beginning from their early life and setting them down a path to become the avatar you'll begin the game with. And telling the story of how a character came to be, a life path replaces the common process of generating race, background, ability scores, and other traits. So this is a new way to arrive at sort of what you fundamentally are as your character. And then, of course, you layer class and subclass and spell selection and feat selection and all that stuff on top of this, right? So you're not taking away all that fun. This is just race, background, ability scores, things like that. It's a process of discovery, and each step in the path is an event, decision, or encounter which reveals things about your character, generating both backstory and game mechanical traits as you go. Maybe you'll be a brawny and dangerous half-minotaur after a life path in which you learned arms from a master, then indulged your wanderlust, labored in the underworld for a while, and made coin in the fighting pits. See, that's a whole history prior to the start of session 0 or session 1, whatever, right? That's cool. Gives you so many places to go as you further your journey through the adventure and campaign that your DM has planned for you, because you have all these key events in your past that you can keep referencing. You know, in real life, people say, "Oh, that reminds me, I went there once," or, "Oh yeah, I know somebody who does that for a living," and so you're gonna kind of have these points of reference as a result of creating a life path. And it's just a different way. You know, maybe you've created hundreds of characters over your time with D&D, and so this is going to be a new way to do it. It says 300 unique life path steps combining fantasy short fiction with corresponding character traits, comprehensive set of rules describing the life path process, optional rules for tweaking character generation, a ton of game content including hundreds of new background features, methods to make many millions of possible stories and backgrounds, 12 ancestries covering all the classics, plus the all-new half-Genie, half-Minotaur, half-Dryad, and Shorewalker. And just even more information. And as I said, this is just a fun new approach to doing things. And you know, you might not like it, you may love it, you may want to use parts of it, not all of it. That's fine. Even if you use this to create NPCs, right? This is a valuable book to have, because it's really going to make you think more from a story point of view rather than min-maxing, which you can still do, but at least you'll have a reason behind your choices, right? So in the sample, we get to see 7 pages. So it starts with the tiefling, because these are based on certain key traits, like tiefling, or that you have banished or fleeing in your life path, right? So looking at a tiefling, so number 1, it says, given a life-changing gift, you were singled out at your job cooking at an inn using fire magic. The inn owner kicked you out amidst public outcry, but in sympathy granted you a horse and tack. That horse would take you places. And then you get your equipment feature. So the feature is Diabolical Legacy. You know the produce flame cantrip. From 3rd level, you can cast the Flame Blade spell once with this feature and regain the ability to do so when you finish a long rest. But from 5th level, you can cast Fireball once with the feature, and you gain the ability to do so, regain the ability when you finish a long rest. And then it gives you Hellish Resistance. You have resistance to fire damage. And then, this is sort of the rest of the life path or other options. 2. Indulged your wanderlust. For a few years, you followed the itinerant court of the Mercury Queen, peddling small goods and lesser luxuries to snobbish courtiers. So plus 2 years to your age. Your equipment here, you get a featured diabolical legacy. You know they produce flame cantrip, right? So you're getting some of these similar things, but these are different backgrounds. So you were in a court versus working and getting thrown out of a job being a cook, right? Another one is caught up in a tavern brawl. You scrapped your way toward a window and jumped out before someone managed to accidentally injure you. So that could be an event that happened in your past. Another one, suffered a disease or injury. You found that whenever you're in severe pain, you have a demon's dreams. Those few weeks were torture. Drank a magic potion. Good idea, bad idea. You gulped it down before someone could stop you. The inky black fluid was ice cold and the sensation stayed with you. So, you're getting different features based on all these various things that could happen to you. You could be stranded in the wilds. There could be tensions with your family. I mean, so many possibilities. And I just love that this is very inspirational. You can really come up with full characters. You can come up with NPCs. You can even just maybe pick one little event that you want to put in your past without following the whole life path process. Whatever you do, this is going to enrich your role play, because this is all about first focusing on the story and then following it up with the mechanics, which is often lacking when you're just looking at mechanical stuff like, oh, this is your race, this is your feat, this is your whatever, right? This is story first, then all the consequential mechanics. So then I think they're more meaningful when you start with story first. So in any case, if you want to start charting your life path for your characters, you need to look for this book in our video description links. It's under Steps to a Hero. Give it a click. Next, we have Tournament of Wonders from Dumb Cane Games. It's $4.99 for 60 pages for 5th edition. It says the Festival of Wonders is an incredible event hosted by Lord Eric Whitewood in the charming town of Whitewood. At the heart of the festival is the renowned Tournament of Wonders, a grand spectacle that captures the imagination for adventurers far and wide. This legendary tournament not only tests the individual prowess of the participants, but also challenges them to forge powerful alliances. As brave souls battle against each other, each victory brings the opportunity to recruit members from the defeated teams, forming a formidable alliance that grows stronger with every triumph. Only by assembling a truly exceptional team can they hope to face one of Lord Whitewood's prized creatures, known as the Whitewood's Wonder. It's a test of skill, strategy, and collaborative effort like no other. But the festival is more than just a tournament. It's a vibrant celebration filled with captivating performances, mouth-watering food, lively merchants, and thrilling carnival games. Welcome to the Festival Wonders, where legends are made, alliances are forged, and the extraordinary comes to life. So it's a 2 to 3 session, 58-page adventure, 10 new magic items, 15 new potions, 8 original festival games, 20 PC-themed creatures. So you can pull things out of here. You can pull out the potions, the items, the games, or you can play the whole adventure. Whatever you want to do. I love books like this that have these multiple functions, because then your $4.99 goes way further, because you can play it as is for one session or a couple sessions, 2 to 3 it says, and then you can take magic items, use those for another campaign. You can take some potions, use those for another campaign. Take some festival games, use them for maybe some other adventure. You're getting multiple sessions, campaigns out of this material, which I really, really love. So you get some NPC champions, it looks like, a whole map of the village, the festival. Then you get your magic items in here and some other items like the Blissful Biscotti, the Pixie Popcorn, Restorative Tonic, Tidal Tincture, fun stuff. Monsters, including Manticore, Violet Fungus, and then you've got some alternate approaches as well that you can use. So right here, we're scrolling through, you can see some different types of things that you would experience. And I love here, I'm seeing a table that says friendly responses and then less than friendly responses and rumors. So you can determine which way it looks like this is going to go, and then deal with it from there. But Right next to that is Martyr's Madness dice game, and it says Martyr's Madness is a dice game played with 3d6 and any number of players. Players ante by betting the same amount. In each round, all players roll their dice simultaneously. If any dice show a roll of 1, they become quote-unquote dead and are removed from play. Players continue to the next round with their remaining dice. If a player's dice all become dead, they are eliminated. The game continues until one player remains winning the pot. So that's pretty simple, and you can use the dice you already have. I mean, it's even D6s, so you can steal those from a board game you own, right? You know, those are pretty common dice. So that's cool. Makes it really easy, and it makes sense. And it literally goes step by step through the 7 rules that you need to know. I love that. And again, you can extract that from this book and use it for any festival situation, even, Wild Beyond the Witchlight Carnival, right? There's so many places you can use these, or a tavern. Maybe you have a game, somebody needs a game of chance or something in a tavern, so you can have that. But I'm just seeing so many fun things in here. It says, here's a knowledge attack intelligent space. It says, answer questions related to arcana, history, nature, religion. Players can use their own knowledge or roll to see if their characters would know. Players roll a d4 to determine the question category. They can either attempt to answer the question or rely on their character's knowledge with the skill check. So that's cool. You can go either way with it. Some of the sample questions for Arcana include what type of individual can manipulate magic without studying it academically. The answer is sorcerer. What school of magic pertains to creating matter and energy? Evocation. So you can see how these could be answered just, through human speech or through skill checks, right? And there's history examples, nature examples. I mean, so many fun little things. And we just looked at very few pages out of the 60. There's 60 pages of stuff here for $4.99. Great price, great fun, waiting for you. You just need to go to the video description links and find the Tournament of Wonders and give it a click. Next, we have Under the Seas of Vodari. Explore an undersea world full of action and adventure for 5th edition. It's $21.95 from Tribality Publishing, and it is 300 pages, which is massive. And it provides 5th edition material for both game masters and players to dive into a world full of action and adventure set beneath the waves of Vodari or your own campaign world. So you get the history, pantheon of 16 gods, and details of everyday life, a tour beneath the waves of Voldari, 12 racial stats to create undersea characters with ancestries, the Gunslinger class, which features modified with features that are modified for an undersea world, and the new Spear Gunner subclass, 18 new subclasses with at least one subclass for every class, 3 new backgrounds, 5 feats, equipment for diving under the waves, details for mounts and vehicles under the sea, 32 magic items and spells for below the water, a collection of rules and advice for game masters to run undersea adventures in Vodari or their own location, 71 stat blocks for your undersea monsters, and an adventure that introduces the unique aspects of underwater adventuring and the deep secrets. So you've got this map here that looks really cool, and it talks about the Vodari's undersea world, where you find iconic elements of a fantasy setting, but with the familiar becomes surprising and even alien. So when you think about moving everything underwater, it's going to take on a totally different appearance and a different feel, right? So there's just so much that's going to feel different. We don't live underwater, so just that alone is going to make it a totally different experience, because you got to think, up, down, left, right, not just, and backwards and forwards, not just moving backwards and forwards or left or right. You got to think about up and down, because maybe you're swimming, right, or you're floating or whatever you're doing. But so much stuff is in here, like this whole undersea world. You've got character options with those gunslinger, and then some of the subclasses. You've got the Path of the Abyssal Delver for the barbarian. You've got the Ocean Domain for the cleric, the Way of the Dancing Current for the monk. The warlock has Corruption in the Flame. I mean, just so many things. Equipment, spells, mounts. I mean, I'm gonna add this to my wish list, because there's so much stuff in here. Monsters from brain coral all the way down to different types of zombies, assorted beasts, NPCs. I mean, you're gonna have everything here you need to really bring an underwater campaign to life. And I mean, the artwork is really beautiful. they always do a really good job in these books for Vodari. I remember looking at a past one that they did, and it just always struck me as so nice to look at. But so let's just read a little history of the undersea world. It says, the Age of Gods. Every undersea historical tradition begins with the gods' emergence and Vodari's creation. Each of the world's aquatic cultures has its own creation story, and there is no definitive story. The Song of Nogathar was translated by Benthik Storm, the legendary Sicilian bard and founder of the College of Deep Dreamer. The myth tells of the gods' arrival to Vodari and is held as sacred truth among the most Sicilians. So that's cool that they have different mythologies for each of the different races that are presented here. So there's a bunch of flavor text here that you can read to bring that to life, and really in game give this sort of mythology and feeling. It says the following passage from Vista Tideforges, A History of the Undersea Peoples, provides a summary of the early history of Vodari's first people. So it says, while we refer to them as ancients, they call themselves the Vodari. The first Vicuri. The first Vicuri lived below the waves in the god Okeano's home, the palace under the sea. Okeano taught them, protected them, and challenged them. Time passed, and groups of Vicuri left the safety of the palace to explore the wonders of Vodari's undersea world. Some built vehicles to travel the endless seas. Others built settlements that grew into majestic cities stretching from the seafloor to above the waves. Eons passed, and the Vicuri slowly changed. Those who preferred living in the shallow, sunlit seas began to rely on their magic more than their physical capabilities, and providing themselves with unimaginable luxury. They called themselves Varu. Vicuri who preferred the chill and darkness of deeper waters adapted to the depths, growing fins for underwater speed and stability. Their muted skin tones camouflage them from both predators and prey. They call themselves Dakri. So you can see how these sort of races split off and evolved over time, and I love that. And it's just a journal entry, so you can have your players find that. You can read it to them, however you want to communicate that. Maybe you give it to a player and have the player read it, especially if you have someone who really loves doing that or excels at doing that. Maybe they're quite theatrical in their readings. But I just love how much attention to detail is in here, how much time they're spending really giving you the history. And we're not even into the player section. This is more for the DM section, right? But this book is 300 pages. 300 pages of underwater goodness. And I love that because there just isn't enough underwater goodness out there. There's been a couple books, but nothing like there is above ground, right? So you gotta check it out. I mean, $21.95 for 300 pages. That is a steal of a price, and you get all this beautiful artwork that you can really just pour over, and you can show, like looking at this is a merfolk warriors battle a marrow invader in this sort of tablet image they have here. It looks like it's carved out of some sort of stone. It's broken and chipped. So you can show that and really give this sense of history. Because this is a made-up world, right? It's not real, but when you can give it a sense of history, it's just going to take on a life of its own, and it's going to feel more real for your players, and like they're really going someplace fantastical. So you got to look for it. It's listed in the video description links under the Seas of Vodari. Give it a click and bring this underwater world to your table. Next we have the Zodiac Class from Terran Indestructible Pounds and Valentine Voisin. And it's already a best copper seller. So it's sold over 51 copies already. And it says, as the moon shines overhead, a halfling on vigil hears a guttural cry beyond the forest vomit darkness. She raises her bow toward the zenith above the forest canopy, and the stars bask the weapon in light. A tree snaps as she aims toward the unseen horror, now stampeding toward her resting companions. She looses the arrow, which streaks with a trail of light and strikes true on a boar demon, basking it in radiance. So we're talking about the power of the stars, of the universe here, right? Everybody knows about astrology, but this is more than that. This is about the heavens, the celestial energies, the universe, all these things coming together, and however you want to weave them in as a player as you become this mysterious Zodiac class. And it says Zodiacs have an inherent awareness of the cosmic energies and motion around us all. The awakening of this awareness may be caused at birth by exposure to a tremendous celestial power, or through years of study to decipher the star patterns and understand the cosmic will. So already right there, 3 choices for how you came to be a Zodiac. It's up to you. So I love that you're getting those options here. You don't always get that with classes. Sometimes they're very dry. They don't have all those things for you. But here already, just in this little bit we've read on the catalog, you're understanding that you can come to being a Zodiac through very different options, and maybe there's 4th or 5th option that we're not even thinking of here that you could come up with. Maybe a star fell, something fell from the sky, landed on you. There you go. That's a 4th option, right? So many ways to incorporate the heavens into your play. So it says, guided by the stars, Zodiacs are a conduit for the cosmic forces that be. Becoming an avatar of its principles, to the uninitiated, the workings of the universe flow in ways far too complex for the mortal mind to comprehend. To a Zodiac whose spirit is attuned to the forces of the cosmos, the motion of the stars is a language in which the attentive diviner may find guidance. If a few achieve this awareness after an intense meditative breakthrough or through dedicated study of astronomy, for most, it was simply destiny. Born under a lucky star or a convergence of planets, Zodiacs are a rare occurrence and an extension of the universe's will, able to interpret its patterns to receive omens and wield its power. There's so many things you can do with this. So many things you can do with this because it's going to be new, right? You don't have 400 Zodiac characters in your campaign already, right? So I really, really love that. So looking inside, you get, it looks like 5 subclasses. Then you get some feats and spells, which is really nice. You don't always get that with the new class. It's usually just the new class and the features, and then that's it. So let's scroll through and see some more of this. The fun artwork in here too. I love all this, constellation stuff. People just don't look up enough, honestly. And it's just the grandeur of some of the skies and these fantasy locations, because we don't have the light pollution in Toril that you have on Earth, right? So just imagine starting to work with the skies. And there's programs out there where you can have fantasy constellations and work with those and show where they're going to be based on the calendar. I mean, you can get way into this if you really want. And so maybe if you're playing this, you work with your DM and figure out how you're going to reference that. But it says that this class grants you features intended for a particular playstyle. The Zodiac is a low defense, high utility, and a damage divine blaster. So that's good to understand. And they are, like we talked about, a conduit for cosmic forces, which is so cool. So you get the quick build, which you should with classes. Then we get your first level feature is a Zodiac sign. You commit yourself to a star sign, a celestial shape that defines your subclass. This may have been predestined at your birth. You may have found yourself in alignment with its philosophies, or some cosmic level event may have marked you with the sign. Your choice grants you features now and again at various levels. And then you have a list of spells associated with your sign. And then, of course, the book includes signs, but, maybe a crafty DM can add some additional ones because, like the Earth Zodiac, one of them anyway has 12 signs, and then, there's other Zodiacs as well on Earth. So you could maybe create some stuff out of that or reference it. So then you have horoscopic magic. Your consulting of the cosmos bequeaths you to the knowledge of magic. You have ritual apotolesma. You can cast any divination spell on the Zodiac spell list as a ritual, regardless of whether or not it has the ritual tag. So it says, see the player's handbook for the rules of ritual casting. So that's handy to be able to cast things as a ritual. And, maybe your rituals involve twinkling stars, or maybe something happens in the sky above you when you do a ritual. I mean, you can have some flavor to it, right, since you're a Zodiac. Constellar exaltation, astrology cantrip. which counts as both a divination and transmutation spell for you that you can cast as a ritual. Whenever you cast a divination spell as a ritual, you can align yourself with a constellation. Your choice grants you a cantrip while you are aligned to that constellation, as shown in the following table. So there's different things listed here, constellation alignment, and then the cantrips that are connected to it. And, some of them are familiar, like there's twins, which you could associate with Gemini, but you could also have, other twins that are from the lore of your world. I like that Terran didn't force a particular astrology on the players. I think that was a really smart decision. It talks about spell slots and how you get those and your spellcasting ability. So typical things for casters, right? And then you get your spell lists, goes through all of those, which is really cool. And then you get to celestial transformation at second level. You can exalt your star sign to take on a celestial form, becoming a glorious avatar of the cosmic will that caused you to become a Zodiac. How fun is that? You can enter this form as a bonus action on your turn. You can stay in this form for a number of hours equal to half your Zodiac level. You can revert to your normal form earlier by using a bonus action on your turn. You automatically revert if you fall unconscious. So kind of like a wild shape, but different. And it's so cool that it's like this glorious avatar of the cosmic. So maybe you're even like glowing and you have like dots where the different stars that make up this star sign are. I mean, you can have different ways of describing it, right? That's really up to the player, but that's what I'm envisioning is this sort of connect the dots constellation look that's glowing, because it says you shed bright light out to 10 feet, which is cool. Your creature type is celestial, which fits with that as well, instead of your normal creature type. Fun stuff. And then you get your ability score improvement at 4th level, and then 5th level ritual communion. It says when you cast a divination spell as a ritual, you can regain your spent Zodiac spell slots and 2 uses of your celestial transformation feature. So that's another benefit of taking time to do a ritual. Astral radiance at 7th level. The light you shed with your celestial form increases to 30 feet and is sunlight. That could be really helpful against some enemies, or to even just see, right? Illuminate what you're looking at. Creatures are immune to the effects of extreme cold within this light. Yeah, that could be really, really helpful. Rime of the Frost Maiden areas or places, where you're going to need some weather protection. Cosmic Will, 11th level, you can wish as an action, allowing you to cast any spell that is 6th level or lower on the Zodiac spell list. You don't need to meet the requirements of casting that spell, including costly components. The spell simply takes effect. Wow, so you are like, it says Cosmic Will. So this, you could say, you're just feeling like at one with the cosmos, and you're able to just blink or snap or whatever, whatever sort of gesture you want to make, and show that you're causing the will of the entire cosmos to be enacted. I mean, that's just going to be fun. That's going to be fun. I mean, who doesn't fantasize about having cool powers like that, right? Especially with all these superhero movies out there. Wish Major, at 18th level, the Wish spell and can cast it once per week as a divination ritual. And also at the 20th level, you can use your celestial transformation feature an unlimited number of times and remain in that form for as long as you want. You do not automatically revert to it if you die. So that's cool. You can be like this living constellation that's walking around. I mean, that's going to be fun and freaky. I mean, this is cool. And we haven't even looked, I don't want to cover everything. I pretty much gave away the whole class and all the features. So I want to save something for you to discover on your own. And thankfully, Terran is letting you look at the entire book. How cool is that? There's so much in here. Like I said, there's all these spells. I mean, I'm adding this to my wish list as soon as I'm done recording, because look at all this cool stuff. So good. All these spells. I love the names of them. The Ventilating Sphere, the Tale of Courage. I mean, Terran's been making some killer classes, and this looks like no exception. I'm really enjoying it. I think you can have so much fun role-playing your connection to literally the stars, the cosmos, the universe, your star sign. Maybe you are an astrology buff. This is your chance to take that interest and bring it into your D&D interest. So I don't know what you're waiting for. Don't wait till your birthday, till your star sign to get this. Look for it in the video description links under the Zodiac and give it a click. Now we come to the part of the show where we talk about other books that we don't have time to take a deep dive into, so we're just going to give some shout outs so you know some other releases that came out recently. So first up, we've got 5e Better Play. It's on sale for $8.99, normally $12.99 for 123 pages, and it's focused on optional rules and reference material to change things up for your 5th edition experience. Next, we have 𝘽𝙤𝙘𝙤 Bombastic Oddities. It is available as a PDF for $14.99, or you can get it as a hardcover standard color for $34.99, or both for $39.99. It's for 5th edition. It's 112 pages, and it's got prep materials for you, reference, including 300 oddities, as well as information for your personalities, subclasses, NPC examples, and more. Then we've got BX Game Options Volume 9, which is for OSR. It's got class options and feats for OSR, $4.99 for 28 pages. We've also got Cavern Crawls number 20, $2.99 for 6 pages. It's an adventure for level 6. We've got Custom Character Traits for 5th edition, $5 for 25 pages, and this is optional rules to create what amounts to your race for your character, because that's been a controversial area and many people are trying different things, and so this is another option for you. Then we've got Demigolems, which is $3.12 for 8 pages. It's got a modular construct race for you. For 5th edition. Then we've also got Dreadful Realms Spire of Lies, which is filled with adventures for levels 1 to 11. It's $17.99 for 93 pages, 5th edition. Then we've also got Epic Threats, which is $9.99 for the PDF, $19.99 for the softcover, or the same price for both. You get 31 pages for 5th edition. And this particular one contains monsters and NPCs that are focused on high-level play. Then we've got Fantasy Port and Docks Encounters. It's system neutral with reference and encounters. It's $1 for 1 page. Then we've got Lick of the Lost is $9.99 for 89 pages. And this is an adventure for levels 16 to 20 for 5th edition. Then we've got Malakar's Outfitters 2, a compendium of wondrous and magical treasures, which is obviously focused on items. It's only $1 for 10 pages. And we have the Marksman's Class, which is $4.99 for 15 pages, also for 5th edition, so brand new class for you. And another brand new class called the Scion, which is 22 pages for $4.99 for 5th edition. And then we have the Purple Palace Heist, which is an 8-hour heist adventure for 3rd level characters, and it is $4.95 for 60 pages, 5th edition. And finally, we have Things Better Left Alone for OSR. It's an adventure for levels 4 to 6, 78 pages. You can get it for $15 for the PDF, $25 for the softcover black and white, or both for $30. And that's it for this week. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel and share the video out there on your social media. We really do appreciate that. Like the video for the algorithm. Leave us a comment. I will respond to all comments personally. And remember to click those links and support all the wonderful publishers and books that we've talked about in this episode. And if you click any of those links and purchase anything, whether it's a book we talked about or not, you're going to help the channel through a very small affiliate fee. Every little bit helps. So if you want to bookmark one of our links and use that every time you shop Drive-Thru or DM's Guild, that also helps us tremendously to keep things running over here at Splinterverse. So thanks so much for that support and for supporting these awesome third-party creators. We need to get the word out. It's really hard in this economy to stay in business as a third-party publisher with threats from AI in every direction. So make sure you're supporting and letting others know that when you're using third-party content, so they realize how great it is and how many options there are out there. If you want to support us even further, we have released 7 books through Splinterverse Media. Those are available in our video description links, as well as at splinterverse.com. And we've got a 2-book campaign setting with an adventure coming out through Kickstarter. Probably later this year, might be early next year, but we're hoping it'll be later this year. We've been working very hard on it. It's going to be our biggest book ever, and it's so cool. I can't wait to start talking about it. So make sure you're following us everywhere at Splinterverse so you can be the first to find out what secrets these books will hold, and that you will love to experience at your table. So hang in there. We're getting closer and closer every day to revealing what that is, and I personally cannot wait. But until then, and until next time, happy adventuring.